Easter Sunday update on the 3.5 Raptor powered 66 F100 short bed. We're getting very close here to the first test drive, but there's lots of little stuff that needs attention. So here we have the, this is the early trucks had the factory windshield washer if ordered. Had a button here, have the stock ignition, will run the turn signals, brake lights, and all the other switches are as they were. And here I wanted cruise control, but to have it opposite of the Eco 1, I have all of my cruise control buttons here, and then my dash display buttons here, all separated. So then when it's parked or at a show or not needed, that's all I have to do is just 100% hide it under the dash. So the cluster is in, just a single plug-in. I have the stock 66 indicator, reads here proper, but it also reads into the cluster, and it'll read 1 through 10 gears, you know, up in here. And the other switches, of course, will show me my tire pressures and that like a new truck would. And here we have some more stock switches here. Like we have the emergency flasher here, and then the choke button is just blank. But the seeing as though I have an aftermarket AC system, I have this is actually the 2018 ignition. So it's like on, and then crank here, and it's disguised as the heater switch, where in actuality, it's the laser cut key from the 2018 to fit the knob by just adding a set screw here to hold it. So then that way I can put a blank in here when it's parked. The original AM radio I restored, had it re-chromed, redid everything, and it also has Bluetooth where I can use it from my phone. And this would be the Vintage Air AC unit. These are the Vintage Air basic switches, but I took this button here, the plus or minus, for when in manual mode for the 10-speed automatic. I can use that here. And then the push button here is from the end of the column shift, and that's my mode select button where I can read on the dash, change it from sport to towing or economy. And over here in the glove box, I have the body control module in here hidden in behind. I still have to put the ashtray in. I have that out, but this is the original ashtray to the truck, original paint. I just, you know, painted the dash to match. It just literally looks like new yet. So it's getting close. I have, of course, I needed a fly-by-wire throttle. I have that in there, mounted into the stock holes of the 66 gas pedal, so I didn't even have to drill an extra hole for it. Now we're back to under the hood. Of course, I have the Bayer billet master with the proportioning valve built in. So I have all of the smog components 100%, including the carbon canister that sits underneath on the frame. This here is the power steering reservoir for a Ford Transit, and that's what I have to pump off it. So this will mount with a plate to the end of the air box, and it'll be kind of somewhat hidden. So I have the factory lines. I built this power steering line here to make it look like it belongs. It's exactly what would have been in the truck originally. And then I have that adapted down to, I brazed a silicone braze I used to use the transit fitting, and I cut it off and bored that out and then put this in there. And this, of course, would be my reservoir, supply for it. The engine mounts have a lot better lighting now than I did last time. So this is the factory Ford F150 engine mount. If Ford spent millions of it, why change a good thing? And the only thing I had to do was just add a little pad here. Of course, I have the Redhead steering gearbox 16-to-1. Here's the rest. I have all of the lines, the Garrett intercoolers mounted here. That's in place. And here's your pancake type of cooler that has liquid running to it, and then the transmission lines from the transmission, all this is direct off a Raptor. Then that comes up and then goes through to the lines for the external auxiliary cooler. The wires I have here not wrapped bare because I was trying to figure out exactly where they were going to mount and how they were going to run, but that's figured out now. And I also added the transit power steering pump with this little bracket here, and using these two existing bolt holes. And then this idler is exactly what this idler is, and it basically fit right in there and lined. This number here is 965 thousandths. That's the length of the spacer needed to get it within a couple thousandths, you know, of perfectly being square. And then here I added another idler. You got a little bit of dirt because I stole it off my other engine, just to take a little bit of tension from the belt to keep it off of the crank sensor here. And then I added a tensioner up into here for the AC compressor, so the AC and the power steering will run off of the same belt. And then the other one here is just as it would be for just a stock Raptor. So all of the hose, lines, fittings would be as if on a Raptor. Of course, the AC compressor I'll be using from the donor. And then we have a pump and a valve here that will turn the for circulation for transmission cooling. And I have the stock Raptor heater lines, and I was able to plug them directly in to it without even changing the hole. I welded have an aluminum heater core, so I was able to weld a nipple extender from the Raptor onto the heater core, and then I could plug those holes in directly. So I still have to tidy up some of the wiring. I have three or four extra wires here that I'll be using for just other accessories that I want to add to it, like a second for my auxiliary fuel tank and fuel pump. I'll clean that up a little bit, and then everything else will sit on this, on the right apron. So I still have to put the mount back in for the pump and the switch here. But other than that, that's the update for today, what I'm up to.